So, whenever the fact that I am indeed a feminist comes up in discussion, someone will ultimately start freaking out and begin assuming entire aspects of my identity from this without any prior mention of said aspects. It's almost a given. It's almost a unwritten law of the universe. The fact is that I'm not that simple. My feminism is not a shopping list of doctrine and authorities. So what is my type of feminism? Well, I perceive feminism in much the same way that I do secularism, a political movement founded around a general goal. With feminism, this is gender equality. With secularism, this is religious equality. Now, I know what you're going to say. But EOT, what about the radical feminists? Well, what about it? Just as groups such as secular Stalinists have taken and perverted secularism in their own fashion, so do some people who hold to the title feminist. Now, secularism is equality in that freedom of religion is entirely dependent on freedom from religion. If the state and even society's general culture has the right to impose religion upon the individual, a person loses their liberty of religion, which includes the right not to hold a religion. Yet some secular movements, such as various forms of secular Stalinism, take the stance that not only should religion be banned from its governmental and cultural control, but also altogether. Yes, historically Stalinism then switched to hypocritically utilize the church, but I'm merely trying to present a point, which is that a noble cause can be corrupted, but to declare that invalidates the original goal is guilt by association, which I don't buy from a theist or an anti-feminist. All rather simple. It irritates me a great deal when people associate me with TJ, also known as the Amazing Atheist. He rather simply is an intellectual hack whose only excuse for his active quote mining of sources is that he's mainly there for entertainment. That still doesn't stop a lie being a lie when you present it in attempts to rebut a position. TJ is dishonest, thus I disassociate from him like I do with Anita Sarkeesian. Her media analysis is rather shoddy and her conclusions oftentimes nuke the fridge. I have no dogma, I have no authorities. Yes, there are large names under feminism, just like secularism. These are people who have become insanely popular for whatever reason, honest or dishonest. That does not then make them my emperor. I have no masters, I have no loyalties. I take a topic by topic approach to things, just like I do with my secularism. This is why I'm currently on the border about various secular topics, including the historical existence of Christ. At the current, I believe he existed in some mundane form due to the probability of this, but I keep hearing more and more damning evidence emerging, so who knows what the future holds. What I do know at the current on my feminist front is that there is a lack of evidence to suggest a greater prevalence of sexism in the gaming community, or that games cause sexism. This is not to say that there is no sexism in gaming and the surrounding industries, just no more than in wider society. Thus the issue is not so much with gaming, but said wider society. Now, what I do hold to are the facts that gendered expectations are utilized in ways that damage LGBT plus demographics. Take, for example, the entire notion of passing. Judgment of a trans person's worth through how their physical appearance matches a person's expectations of that gender. Then we have homophobia. See that boy on the cheerleading squad? What a flaming faggot. And that girl playing rugby? What a dyke. It's thanks to gendered expectations that we can only think of a gay man cheerleading or a gay woman playing rugby. And yes, this hurts the cisgender heterosexual population as well, including men. Building on from this, consider who typically berates the traumatic experiences of male victims of paedophilia from a female culprit. Cis heterosexual men with their ever-wise jokes on where were all these teachers when I was a kid. And I must note that I'm not blaming the victim here, but those around him that belittle their experience as something which is not serious as an issue to tackle. The thing is that it is an issue and it is very serious and it needs to be tackled head on in a genuine manner. That is why I direct traffic towards Captain McCall's videos on the male victims of genital mutilation, domestic abuse and rape. I do not have a war on cis heterosexual men. I just understand historically that they have had a privileged position which I would say is still maintained overall in contemporary society. This is why I am not giving up the word feminism, its history as well as its global structure. But talking about its global structure, some people argue that feminism is at the very least dead in the West. Now I disagree with this, as hopefully has been highlighted before, but these same people often declare themselves to be humanists. Now, as a humanist also, because I'm not restricted to a single title of identity, I am not a nationalist. I see people in countries and my concerns do not stop at the borders of those countries. That is what being a humanist is about. When it comes to LGBT+ matters, we seem to do this all too well. A new bill being passed in African nations that will call for the LGBT+ genocide. My networks are flooded with outrage. The same for secularism whenever a secular blogger is trialed for disbelief, and rightfully so. These are all matters I care about. But when it comes to feminism, we suddenly change as, oh no, we can't display international solidarity. No, we can't even say the F word or discuss topics even remotely related to that word, as apparently it offends too many people. It's amazing what people will do just to try and stop me talking about feminism. Fact is that I'm not going to be bent by a little bad language, and I give as good as I get, sometimes even worse. See, I am not a perfect being, and I never claim to be. I've messed up a lot. My channel is testament to that. Go back to the beginning and see how my arguments were and my very style of analysis, and see how it has changed. Yet I keep it as a reminder to myself on how I've moved forward. Though I can be a spiteful little prick at times, I am certainly not claiming to be God. But bringing it back in, I stood against the A+ movement. I had no desire to force people to accept a movement title or get blacklisted like the Freethought blogs attempted. That was an awful idea. If I wanted to display my meeting of feminism and secularism, I'd utilize the title of secular feminist. This is a movement that actually exists and is vital in tackling sexism propagated by religion in particular, and especially with Islam and Hinduism in the East. That is needed. It is very important. But even then, I do not demand that you take on that title. If you don't want to identify as feminist, then fine. I won't attack you because of this, or for whatever title you do want to use. This is so long as you extend me the same understanding. Mentioning Captain McCall once more, he does not identify as a feminist. He doesn't really identify as anything. That still does not stop us being friends and working together as we hold a mutual respect. Now, when it comes to most MRAs, this respect is oftentimes lacking. See, they claim to be for men's rights, yet the vast majority spend their entirety attacking or attempting to poison the well of feminism. Men's rights are not at risk from feminism, and thus will not be found in fighting feminism. Ergo, the MRAs typically present a false position, much like Hamza Tortsius in his self-presentation as a man of intellectual capability. The claim fails to match the actions, and when someone presents themselves in such a false manner, it can only leave me lacking respect for them. If the MRAs want any damned respect from me, then they need to get off their lazy backsides and do what the non-associating individuals, such as Captain McCool, are doing in raising awareness and seeking to tackle actual issues faced by male victims, not fictional ones. Of course, this is only a highly condensed dose of some of my thoughts on a few select topics. There are many more, but I hope this somewhat helps some people to better understand me. I have no masters. I take everything case by case and use whatever title you wish, so long as your actions speak for that title. Thank you. The audio clip that's going to be playing whilst the credits are scrolling past are purely a bit of a funny recording we got when I was testing out my microphone. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Because I'm sure many of you have seen my partner's work before in my videos in the marks that she decidedly leaves on my neck. So yes, this is my partner's voice.